the Marion County Board of Commissioners to fill a vacancy of Oregon State Representative, House District 21. It is Wednesday, December 8th. I forgot to check over there with Shram. Do I need to start over? Yes, please. All right. Here we go. I guess we're up and going. Open a meeting of the Marion County Board of Commissioners to fill a vacancy, special meeting to fill a vacancy of State Representative, House District 21. It's Wednesday, December 8th, 2021. It is 2:35. We're here in the Senator Hearing Room at 555 Court Street Northeast. I will have us all introduce ourselves for the record. I'm Kevin Cameron.
I'm Danielle Bethel.
Colin Lewis. Chad Ball, Policy Analyst with Board's Office.
Christy Witherell, Board's Office.
Chris Hoy.
Nancy McMorris-Oddix.
Cassia Quillinan.
Okay, great, and welcome.
And Miss-
Oh, yes, and on Zoom, this is the first time that we've done this via Zoom, so go ahead, Virginia.
Thank you. I'm Virginia Stapleton.
Okay, fantastic. It's great to have you all here. Welcome to the Senator Hearing Room. And I don't know if you all got a copy of the agenda in front of you, so you know what the routine's going to be. And so I would just now have you introduce yourself. You'll have 3 minutes for each of you to do your opening statement, and we'll go from there.
I'll be timing and
Oh, yeah. So there is a yellow card, like soccer. Well, I don't play soccer. Commissioner, you play.
I love soccer.
Okay.
This is not at all like
I,
because no one's in trouble when they.
I don't understand what the yellow card is in soccer other than you did something bad. So the yellow card here doesn't mean you did anything bad. It just means you have 30 seconds left on your time, and then the red card means you're out of the game, I guess.
Commissioner, can we just ask Ms. Stapleton if she can see the papers?
Thank you. Yes, I can see them.
Okay.
Okay, good. So what I'm going to do is I will start from my left. And Virginia, you are on my far left. So
Okay.
I'm going to start from my far left, and we'll rotate this way with the questions. So we'll let you go first. So if you want to do your opening statement for 3 minutes, and Chad will be timing down there.
Great. That sounds good. Thank you.
All right, welcome.
Thank you. Just good afternoon, everybody. And first of all, I wanted to say hello to Commissioner Bethel. She and I served together on the school board's budget committee. So it is really good to see you again. And to the 2 other commissioners, I have not yet gotten a chance to meet you, but I look forward to doing so in the near future. I want to start by saying thank you for making these accommodations. I've got a sick kiddo here at home and wanted to keep all of the germs, no matter what they are, here at my home and not there with you all. So thank you for that. I wanted to start with a brief introduction and then speak to my involvements in local politics. So I'm a lifelong resident here in Salem, Oregon, and currently live in the new House District 21. My husband and I have been married for 19 years and bought our first home here in Northeast Salem. And there is where we started our family. We have 2 little kiddos, ages 10 and 12. I am a non-traditional student and I earned my GED about 5 years ago, and just this week finished my associate's degree at Chemeketa Community College, and I plan on going for my bachelor's degree in restorative ecology this next fall. It was in our first home that I started towards my role here as a public servant. And it started in small ways, like starting neighborhood groups and serving as a volunteer in my kids' elementary school. From there, I started working and interacting with our city mayor and councilor, and I saw just how much of a positive impact I could have on my neighborhood through government. I was elected to the Salem City Council in 2020, representing Ward 1, and have just finished my first year there, and it has been a thrilling experience so far and an honor to serve. I am constantly reaffirmed when I find myself in rooms or at tables or in conversations where my life experiences bring a new perspective. Someday I plan on running for House District 21 and serving my community in that new way. Should I be appointed today, I know that the experience will be invaluable for my future goals. I want to thank you again for having me. I look forward to this conversation today.
Great, thank you, Virginia. Chris, your opening statement.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Commissioners. I appreciate the opportunity to speak with you today. This is a unique moment in history. We're living through a pandemic that is reshaping everything, whether it's school, the workplace, how we socialize, or family gatherings. And we have just completed a redistricting process that has literally reshaped this House district. There will be a special session in 5 days and a short session in 55 days. There's no time for a learning curve for whoever you appoint to this seat. They must hit the ground running. As a fourth-generation Oregonian and an 18-year resident of House District 21, I believe I am well-suited to provide the steady representation needed at this time of monumental change, and I can effectively serve the residents of the district from day one. As a twice-elected Salem City Councilor whose ward falls almost entirely within the boundaries of the current House District, people know me, and they know my record. House District 21 is complex in that it encompasses not only downtown and surrounding areas of Salem, but also includes unincorporated areas of East Salem. Having served the ward surrounded on 3 sides by those unincorporated areas for the past 5 years, I understand on a very deep level the issues important to residents in those areas. As I believe you know, I retired from a 30-year career in law enforcement. During the entirety of that time, I worked exclusively for county sheriffs, retiring as the undersheriff in Clackamas County in 2019. Through that experience and my time on city council, I've learned the importance of relationships and the value of working together at all levels of government to make things happen. And I know all too well what can happen when those relationships don't exist or are ignored. Having a representative working on the state level who understands and appreciates county and city partners is invaluable. Local government needs a larger voice at the Capitol. Through my career experience and from my time as a city councilor, I can bring that voice so that local governments can be a strong partner with the state rather than an afterthought. In the upcoming session, I can play a critical role in public safety policy, how we address homelessness, and other vital areas, bringing local values and a local perspective to conversations where that voice is often missing. As a person who will not be seeking election to this seat, I can be an independent voice of reason and authenticity in a place that often functions more like a house of mirrors. The state is experiencing a homelessness crisis, small businesses are facing uncertainty, and families are struggling. We need strong and steady leadership, and we need it now. I look forward to the opportunity to bring in my 33 years of public service to serve in this new capacity. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. Nancy.
Good afternoon, Chair Cameron, Commissioners.
Good afternoon.
Bethel and Willis, I just realized reading my notes that the spell checker changed your name to Better.
Oh, well, there you go.
And I hadn't noticed that before. Thank you for the opportunity to speak with you today. I'm Nancy McMorris-Oddix. I've lived in Salem for nearly all of the last 43 years. To be honest, I was exiled to South Texas when I finished grad school in 1985 in the recession, and there were no jobs in Oregon, but I got back as quickly as I could. I have a history of seeing a problem and working to find solutions. When my children were small, I worked to build a public-private partnership to provide comprehensive prenatal and birth services throughout the Mid-Valley. I started the first hospital-based nurse midwifery practice in the Mid-Valley, and when the physicians who employed me retired, I became a small business owner. I worked to establish before and after school care at Morningside Elementary. I fundraised to upgrade the playground there. I continued to fundraise to send South's band to the Beijing Olympics and to put in a turf field. I served on the school board where we made significant achievement progress in high poverty schools and worked to expand career technical options. I was appointed to the Oregon Educators Benefits Board and served to expand my knowledge of how to provide better health care for fewer dollars. I currently serve on the Maternal Mortality and Morbidity Review Committee for the state, where we seek to make legislative recommendations about how to keep pregnant women and their babies safe and healthy. I moved the 2018 bond through the school board process and then served as a leader of the campaign to pass it. I currently serve as co-chair of the Bond Oversight Committee. For most of my life, I've worked to make our community a better place. I have a history of tackling problems and working with my neighbors to make a difference. As a legislator, I will continue to work for the children, families, and residents of House District 21. Thank you.
Thank you. Fisher. Welcome.
Thank you. Well, I am Cassia Quillinan.
Can you
and
pull that microphone just really close? There you go. Thank you.
I thank you all for participating in this important selection of a replacement for Representative Brian Clem. I have lived in House District 21 for many, many years and will continue to be in House District 21 after redistricting. I retired not too long ago after 30 years in the law, and since that time, I've been teaching law classes in Portland and here at Chemeketa. When I was in college, I was selected and appointed by the Dean of Women to represent my university at several state and national conferences. That was my first introduction to the impact of legislative policymaking. Since then, I have served and volunteered on many municipal committees and civic organizations. It has been a lifelong learning adventure. I did not set out to be a politician, nor to build a political resume, but I was active and I participated in the community. I served on city council, spent 8 years on the Women's Crisis Service Board, drafted the Police Review Board initial charter, served on policy committees for the National League of Cities, rewrote and revised the city's tree ordinances, planted trees on State Street, in parks, and at Minto Brown. Served 9 years on Salem's Park and Recreation Board, most of them as chair. Was treasurer for Salem City Club, chair of my neighborhood association, and served as executive director of Willamette's Institute for Continued Learning, among many others. Over time, I have developed considerable expertise and experience in land use, strategic planning, comprehensive plans, environmental issues, and impacts. For example, ODF&W recruited me to serve on its Wildlife Mitigation Policy Board, where we assess proposed conservation projects and distribute $10 million a year to fund them, including the additional 300 acres added to Minto Brown Park. Kaiser Council asked me to serve on its planning committee for Kaiser Rapids Park. The Downtown Rotary Club invited me to be a part of the team which evaluated potential designs for the now completed Rotary stage. Politics is said to be the art of the possible, but it is also, I believe, the art of the people. As such, we need a whole body view of the body politic if we are to discover and implement solutions for the problems that stand before us. I became involved in participating in the community because there was a need in the community which I could fill, and because a democracy and a good community require involvement and participation by its citizens. I have a long history of involvement and participation, and I look forward to being able to continue to serve that, even in a limited time capacity. So thank you very much, and I await your questions with some trepidation.
Thank you. Chad, you're gonna set a timer?
Yeah, I'll make it
so that the buzzer goes off, because I didn't see that, but,
You only want a few minutes, or a few seconds.
you only went 5 minutes over, so you're, okay.
You did.
You're not in the penalty box. Okay, so we're gonna go through now, thank you for your opening statements. We're gonna ask some questions. And during that time, you'll have 2 minutes for response for each question that you'll be asked. I'll ask the first question, and then Commissioner Bethel, and then we'll rotate questions. And we'll also rotate who gets to go first, all right? So Chris, this one would be for you. What is your priority as a state representative for House District 21 that would impact Marion County as a whole?
Well, that's an interesting question, Commissioner. Thank you. The interesting thing about this appointment is timing. There isn't really going to be time for maybe this representative's agenda this session because of the time. But so that means that whoever is appointed will spend their focus trying to make our agenda happen on maybe with the help of other people and other bills, and shaping things from that perspective. Certainly, I think our number one priority for House District 21 is the pandemic overall. It affects everything. But we also need to consider everything that we do in relation to the county as a whole. We're, I think, the #1 agriculture county in the state in terms of dollars. We have a major homelessness crisis, and so anything that we do, we need to be looking at that. All those things impact the county and county commissioners and places outside of the House district. And so we need to be, everything we do needs to be through that lens of it's all part of a bigger picture.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Do you need me to repeat the question, or you got it, Nancy?
I've got it.
Okay, good.
So I think when I look forward at the next year, and I agree wholeheartedly with Chris that this position, because of the timing, doesn't really get to have a huge agenda. But I do think that working to bring our community, our county, our city back to a new normal post-COVID, or a new normal as COVID continues to be an issue in our lives. The Canyon has huge issues in terms of its rebuilding, getting people back to work, being off work, having children out of school has made many people reevaluate whether or not they want to be a two-income family if they can afford to not be. And so our workforce has shrunk, and so we have big needs in the workforce that need to be addressed. Those, I think, are my priorities.
Okay. Thank you.
I think for House District 21, which now extends, or perhaps always did extend up into the Jan Ray and into the some of the unincorporated areas around Salem, one of the issues that may be facing that area is continuing housing expansion. And as a general rule, or not as a general rule, but one of the things that I believe is important for Marion County is the preservation of farm and forest land. And extra expansion of housing outside of the urban growth boundary is a problem. And we should be very careful about how we allocate housing in those areas. We also have issues concerning infrastructure, particularly transportation infrastructure. At least in Marion County, there are a number of bridges that are requiring repair. There are highways that require repair. All of those things may very well impact House District 21. It's very close to I-5. I-5 has become a traffic nightmare, and I would think that it would be necessary at some point to address what we're going to do about that.
I won't forget about you. You're on Zoom.
Thank you so much. Yeah, listening to my colleagues, I agree with them. This is going to be a time that's interesting for whoever fills this space. But for me, top of mind, of course, is the pandemic, but how that trickles down. And two big areas that I'm seeing are our schools, how we are going to support young families as we move into this new kind of unknown territory. And then also the affordable housing crisis and how that relates to our unhoused population. I would also like to say that small businesses need some care and attention during this time. And I know that with the Build Back Better funds that are going to be coming into the state, I see that as something that could use some focus and attention, and using those funds to address transportation issues that we have in the state, and also addressing climate change as we move into this new time post-pandemic.
Okay,
Sure.
thank you. So I am going to start with Nancy. And the question is, do you live in the newly formed HD 21?
I do not.
Thank you. Kesha?
Well, I have lived in House District 21 for at least 40 years, and right smack dab in the middle of it, and I am still right smack dab in the middle of it.
Okay, thank you. Virginia?
Yes, I will. Thank you.
And Chris?
No, I don't. The eastern edge of Salem, the 5 blocks I live in, was sort of gerrymandered off to a district that goes clear up to Idana.
Wow.
That's my new district. I think it's 17, maybe, something like that.
You're in the Canyon District.
Correct.
Oh, you would be my representative then. since I live in Detroit.
I won't be running, so it doesn't, so that's really not an option.
Oh, that's the other
I
district.
appreciate the sentiment.
Thank you.
All right.
Okay. My turn. The Marion County Sheriff's Department provides essential services to those living in our community. What actions will you take to ensure the Sheriff's Office is supported at the legislature? And Keisha, I think you go first.
It's Cassia.
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 Cassia, I apologize.
Well, one of the things I should start off by saying is I did quite a lot of work out at the jail system at one time in my legal career. And so I had an opportunity to see how the sheriff's office worked within the jail and to interact with the then sheriff and under sheriffs. I also worked heavily with the Salem Police Department, was invited to participate on the Police Chiefs Advisory Committee, which I served for 9 years. And it also was part of the facility group that established the new police facility here in town. However, having said that, I think it's important that we do support the Marion County Sheriffs because they have a huge amount of territory to cover and not very many people to do it in. So we need more sheriffs. We also need more jail support. And by that, I mean we have an issue with the jails in that we are using the jails as mental health facilities. And we need to certainly do something about that. And that's going to require a whole shift in how we bring people into the jail, how we treat them, how we get them out of the jail, all that kind of stuff. And that's something I'm pretty familiar with because I actually had a little cottage industry of dealing with the mentally ill in jail. And it's not, and also in the prison, I might add, but you asked me about the jail and the sheriff's department. So yes, I mean, I'm a very big fan of police departments in general, and the sheriff's department here has pretty much done a very good job.
Thank you. Virginia.
Thank you so much. Yes, I got the privilege to go out to the Marion County Sheriff's location and work on an adults in custody crew recently, a couple of months ago, and got to spend some time in that facility and seeing the ways that they interact with our community and the services that they do provide. And I was really impressed with what they have going on out there. And sitting down with them and talking with them about the things that they need support in and hearing from them were things like mental health services, sobering center, addiction services, all of those wraparound supportive services that folks need before they even get to become in contact with the Marion County Sheriffs or after having contact with them. And I feel like that is something that we can really invest in our communities and be a support and a help to our sheriffs.
Thank you. Chris.
Thank you, Commissioner. How many hours do I get for this answer? 2 minutes, all right. Well, as you know, I worked for sheriffs for 30 years, and here in Marion County and Lincoln County and Clackamas County. I've been an evidence technician, I've been a deputy sheriff, a sergeant, a lieutenant, a commander, a captain, a community corrections director, chief deputy, and undersheriff. And I've had the privilege to be the lead jail inspector for the Oregon Sheriff's Association, where I was responsible for inspecting all the jails in Oregon and making sure that they were inspected on a routine basis. I've also served as the president twice of the Parole and Probation Command Council. So I was lucky enough to serve in that role during justice reinvestment. And so worked in the Capitol negotiating with legislators and with the Department of Corrections and trying to make that system a reality and make it a workable reality. Trying to make Senate Bill 1145 work. It was kind of an awkward framework from 1997 that we're still dealing with, and worked for years in that building trying to make that better and make it work. And so being a sheriff's deputy is who I am, and it's what I know. And that doesn't change just because I'm retired. And that will not change whether I get this position or not. I advocate for effective law enforcement, for people who interact with law enforcement to have better outcomes, whether that's people with mental illness or whatever. I've been doing that my entire career, and I'm very passionate about it, and look forward to the opportunity to have a bigger impact on that. So the Marion County Sheriff is an interesting thing, with the county seat being right here. We have a lot of different obligations than other sheriffs. We have, the state capitol, and so I have a great relationship with Sheriff Joe Cast, and I will continue to have conversation with him and advocate for him and hear his concerns and needs. And I see the red card about to go up, so I'm trying to get words in fast. But through good communication and listening, I'll continue to those points.
Thank you. And then Nancy.
So interestingly, when I arrived today, Deputy Claude was in the back of the room, and we had a really nice conversation. He and his colleague talking about the many services that are needed and provided by the sheriff's office, including mental health and substance abuse intervention. And a one-on-one reaching out to communities so that relationships are built between the sheriff's department and members of communities, so that when a need arises, that relationship is solid. And I think all of those things are things that we need to grow. We all seem to agree that when there's a threat, when there's, the traditional policing actions, that we all need solid police. But some of these other issues are more focused on prevention, which is very, very important, and I think saves us money in the long run when we can provide the kinds of services on the front end. And that very often the access to those services can come through calls to the sheriff's office rather than to a healthcare provider. And so making those connections really firm, I think, is really important. Thank you.
Good. So I think it's back to me, and it's Cassia. I think you're up, right, first? So the question is, if selected, what process will you follow to solicit input and find answers on legislative issues from county commissioners?
What process would I follow to solicit input from you all?
Mm-hmm, exactly.
Well, I suppose that probably the first thing I would do is make an effort to get to know you all a little better. Start out by having a cup of coffee and talk about what you think are the main issues, and I can explain what I think the main issues are. Oh, I'm sorry, is this not on? Sorry.
I paused the timer.
I didn't do anything.
No.
Really?
Well, I was saying you learn something new about technology every day as soon as I sat down, so you get to learn this too. Any new batteries?
Put new ones in.
It flashed red there momentarily a second ago down the base. There it goes.
There we go.
It just wanted to be turned upside down.
Yeah, that's fair.
You terrified it. But I would really like to know what issues you, the commissioners, see as being important and affecting you. And I would make an effort to find out what those were and to see how they could be correlated into whatever the current legislative agenda was, or if there was legislation that you thought you might need to propose that we could be an advocate for, or I could be an advocate for that. I mean, I'm quite certain there are many issues that would cross paths, and I don't know what else I can say about that. It's a matter of establishing relationships. I've done a good job of establishing relationships with city management. They all know me. They know that I'm trustworthy, reliable. They can talk to me, and I would hope that at some point I would have that kind of relationship with you all, that I could trust you and you could trust me to convey your wishes or work on whatever issues you thought were important for the county.
Okay, thank you. Virginia?
Thank you so much. Yes, I think that each layer of government has a unique connection with the communities that they serve. And as a city councilor, I have a unique connection to the folks of Ward 1 and to the city of Salem. And you all, as commissioners, have that unique connection with Marion County residents. You see and understand the needs of your community in a different and intimate way. And I believe in that that forming relationships that are full of active listening and clear communication, and that built trust that comes from relationships with each other, then from there we can move forward and take concerns seriously and bring them forward in a way that we can hopefully work together to solve the problem.
Okay, and I just realized that I made a mistake. Virginia should have gone first there, because you went first twice in a row. All right, Chris.
Thank you, Commissioner. So currently, I have a breakfast meeting with the three of you once a month, which I think is a great opportunity for us to exchange ideas. That's in my role as the city council president. I would love to do something like that, just more focused on the district and district issues rather than maybe city issues as it relates to the county. I think having those ongoing conversations, I know that we've gotten some great work done during those times, and I would love to continue that. And I guess just on a more basic level, especially during a session, if I had an issue that came up, I would call you. I mean, I have your phone number, and I would call you, and we would talk. But you can't just do that out of the blue. You have to already have a relationship, or you have to have been working on a relationship. And I've served on the Governor's Rancher Council with you, Commissioner Cameron, for I don't even know how many years now, a number of years.
Too many.
Too many. And Commissioner Willis, I serve on the Mid-Willamette Valley Homeless Alliance. And Commissioner Bethel, I don't think we actually have any committees in common yet, but we're developing a rapport during our monthly meetings, and I feel good about the work we've done, and that work would continue, just sort of with a different focus and a different emphasis.
Thank you. Nancy?
I also feel like I have a good relationship with the three of you, and hope that would continue in a more formal manner. When I think about how I would solicit input, I think that very often in the legislature, bills come forward with a very positive bend. We're going to do this, and it's going to be great for everybody, and going to do all these kinds of things. And I always want to ask the question, so what's the downside? And that many of the decisions that will happen in the Capitol will have a big impact on a very rural county like Marion County. House District 21 is not a rural district, but I don't get to opt out of those issues when they come before the legislature, so I would need input about how you see those things. And I would very much hope that when I would be in a position of needing information about the upside or the downside of legislation, that you would all answer my call and provide me the resources that I would need to help make good decisions.
Thank you all. All of you.
All right. Question number 5, I'm going to start with Chris. What efforts are you aware of in regards to wildfire recovery for the Santiam Canyon?
Well, before this meeting, I was over at the Arches Inn touring with Jimmy Jones and members of our federal delegation staff. And that is going to be a location, it's a project turnkey for residents who are displaced by wildfires initially. So I'm aware of that. I'm also aware of the issue with the water and sewer up in the canyon. That's because that certainly directly impacts the city of Salem, and we've had ongoing conversations about all of that. I know that there's been temporary tiny home projects with Mid-Willamette Valley, with United Way. That they've been working on it. I know that the three of you have put in untold hours over the last year working on all sorts of issues that I'm probably not even aware of. I know that we allowed the fairgrounds to serve as a gathering point for hazardous material early on during the recovery process, so that could be removed from the canyon and sorted and disposed of properly. So on a peripheral level, very on the edge, I've been involved in those kinds of things. Those are the things I can think of off the top of my head. We think of it as the canyon is sort of a separate place. Now I live in that house district, but it's one community. Whether you live in Salem or whether you live in the canyon, it's not a very big place, and we're all one community. And so things that we do here impact the canyon, and vice versa. For instance, after the wildfire, we had a lot of folks who ended up here residing, either with friends, in our parks, all over the place, just looking for a place to live. And we've been trying to support those folks as best we can. So there are all sorts of efforts, and it's going to take an ongoing concerted effort from everywhere to help those places recover.
Thank you. Nancy?
So my knowledge about the wildfire recovery in the canyon has the perspective of when I was still working in the families that were impacted, that were part of my practice. And, you know, just the level of helplessness and just completely overwhelmed by the enormity of the situation there. I also serve on the board of Family Building Blocks, who has been involved in the canyon opening relief nursery in Staten and providing some respite care services for families throughout this time of recovery. So I think about the canyon, certainly there are huge infrastructure issues and housing issues and all of those kinds of things that were impacted by the fire, but I think mostly about the children and the needs, the availability of good Wi-Fi or internet services up there for kids who have needed to be doing school at home. All of those many issues are really how I have been involved in looking at the whole issue of wildfire recovery.
Thank you. Kessia?
Well, Chris and Nancy have summed up the major, I believe, things that are happening in wildfire recovery in the canyon. My area is the environmental recovery and the infrastructure recovery. As we're aware, we did have some issues with downed power lines sparking some of those major fires. And I don't know where that is right now. Potentially lots of litigation going on for the destruction of homes due to those fires caused by power lines. The environmental recovery for the forests it's going to take quite a while. And so far, I haven't seen any particular plans as to what we will be doing to help the forests recover. There's been some talk about potentially salvage logging up there. I don't know what stage that is in, but we must look at the environment as well as the issues that Chris and Nancy have pointed out with regard to the people that live up there and additional infrastructure is going to be needed. So we'll have to wait and see as to what plans come out of that issue. And that would be something that I would be very much interested in working on if it came to the legislature, what we would do with the environmental issues.
Thank you. And Virginia?
Thank you. Yeah, I'm not sure I can add much to this conversation. Everybody here has really covered it well. Chris mentioned our unhoused, helping the folks who have been unhoused by the fires with the Project Turnkey, with the fairgrounds used not only for that, the day of, receiving folks who are fleeing from their homes to helping with the waste recovery. The water concerns that we have, I'm concerned about mass wasting this winter with storms that are coming through and how that's going to impact water supplies down the chain there. I've heard lots of personal stories, of course, of the folks who have lived up there, are hoping to return. And I have heard a lot from folks who are working out in the forests there and working on the challenges of logging and forest recovery. And I've also driven the road and seen the repairs that are needed to the actual infrastructure of the roads themselves after the fire has been through. And lastly, I would say the support that the Salem Fire Department gave on those few days that were really intense for our whole community. That's about what I have to say about this one. It's something that will take a lot of work in the future, and it's going to take a lot of time and energy to address all the issues that are present at the time.
Thank you.
Okay. Nancy, I think you're up first for this question.
It seems like Virginia has been skipped. Does she
Yeah.
need
Should I
to
go
take a
ahead?
turn?
Okay,
going
let me
first?
go with Virginia first. All right.
I messed this up.
Okay.
It's pretty normal
Good
when
job, Nancy.
we're here.
We're
I just
getting
want
this
to
to
be fair
rights.
here.
Thank you, Nancy, appreciate that. Okay, Virginia, you're gonna get to answer first this time, okay? A lot of folks live up in the Portland metro area, and so a lot of the senators and representatives in our state legislature are from the Portland metro area. My perspective is, as a result of that, the needs of those living in Marion County are often overlooked. What will you do to ensure that the people of Marion County have a voice in the legislature and in that process?
Thanks, that's a great question. And I guess when you were talking, the thing that came to mind is that I'm always one to cheer for the underdog, or the one who is not as supported or doesn't have as many resources. And I think that takes a really strong voice from somebody who's serving in House District 21 to really serve the people in our area. Somebody who is committed to doing the work, coming prepared and being bold and brave in their initiatives and who they reach out to for support and help, not letting the games of politics play the upper hand, but more how can we work together and find a group of folks who are like-minded, those of us who are feeling maybe underrepresented, to come together and advocate really strongly for our area of the Valley and be a strong voice for us.
Thank you. Chris, I guess you're next.
Thanks, Commissioner. So this has been an ongoing concern of mine for a number of years, and the challenge is that we often get a Portland solution that doesn't fit anywhere but in Portland, and where the rest of the state ends up living with it, and that's not a good way to do business. And so to specifically answer your question, there's a couple of things. One is I'm not running for election, so I'm not necessarily looking to curry any favor with any of my colleagues in the legislature, because I'll be an independent voice because I'm not looking to be elected. So that's one thing, because I know that a lot of times there can be those pressures sometimes for people as they're trying to climb the ranks and get a gavel or whatever. Those things probably aren't an option for a one-year representative. So it's not even a consideration and not a concern. And the other thing is relationships with other local representatives, regardless of party, I think are critical. And I think when we can all group together, and I have an excellent relationship with our people in our delegation, whether it's Representative Raquel Moore Green, who served on our budget committee, or Representative Paul Evans, or whoever, Senator Deb Patterson, I have a great relationship with all of those folks and would look to work with them to make sure that the Mid-Valley, Salem area, to make sure our needs are met, and to push back against the sort of the metro one-size-fits-all but doesn't really fit anybody approach.
Thank you. Nancy.
I love that question. It always drives me crazy when I served on the school board, and every example of education in the state was Portland. When we have a model career technical program here in Salem, and all the press about career technical education comes out of Portland, or sometimes out of Eugene, but rarely here where we have a model program. So I agree with Chris. I have a great working relationship with the other representatives, regardless of party. And I think we work together as well as other Mid-Valley folks to present the positives and the needs of our community and make sure that those questions that I was talking about in the last question, when we see legislation that's really a Portland-centric model, that we can say, wait a minute, the impact on us of this, because it doesn't really fit, will be this, and be able to articulate those things well. Thank you.
Thank you. And Kesia.
Well, I think Nancy has summed it up really nicely. Marion County is the largest agricultural county in the state, if I remember right, in terms of revenues. And I think it is really important for us to continue to stress that not all of the revenues of the state come from the Portland area or come from major industries. We are a I believe, billion-dollar industry here in Marion County. So I agree with the idea that we need to talk to our representatives from the metro area on both sides of the fence and form some coalitions along those lines. For some years, I was heavily involved with the Marion County Democratic Party, both here and up in the Portland area, the local statewide party. And that's a good place to start, rounding up people to talk to about what are the issues in other counties. And that's one of the things that we heard quite a lot from outlying counties in these conferences and conventions, that they have different issues than the Portland area. So we need to form those coalitions, even if you have to draw a ring around Portland. And to say, we are something different than you, and our needs are different.
Thank you.
Well, good, I'm glad you recovered for me, got everybody back on the right order. Let's see if I can do this in the closing comments. So you'll each have 3 minutes for closing comments, and I believe Virginia went first last. See how messed up I get? So, Chris, I think we're back to you to go first in our closing comments. So you have 3 minutes.
Thank you, Commissioner, and I thank you for the opportunity to speak with you today. I've been preparing for this opportunity most of my life. I first visited the Capitol and met with my state representative when I was in the 4th grade. That visit sparked an interest in public service that burns strong to this day. I was a legislative intern in the state Senate during my senior year at Willamette, and then I was fortunate enough to have a 30-year career in law enforcement. I worked throughout my career to help people with mental illness avoid contact with the criminal justice system and to have better outcomes when they do. I've led over 600 employees and managed an annual budget of over $120 million. I've twice been elected to the Salem City Council and have served as the council president for the past 3 years. I've been the vice chair of the Mid-Willamette Valley Homeless Alliance, and I'm the chair of the Salem Housing Authority. So I have a deep understanding of many of the issues that are facing the Salem area. And after 33 years of public service, I've learned the value and have built many relationships that have prepared me for this opportunity. And I'm ready for it, and I hope you will select me today. Thank you for the opportunity.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you for the opportunity to be here. I have an experience background that separates me from my colleagues before you. I have sought out areas of service in the 2 areas that take the biggest chunk out of the state budget, education and healthcare. I specifically have sought out those experiences to be prepared to serve in the legislature. Unfortunately, due to redistricting, I have only one path to serve, and that is this appointment. I cannot run for House District 21 in November, as I will no longer live in the district after January. I'm retired and have cleared time in my life to serve for this 1 year. I have no other political position or political aspirations. Appointing me will give the citizens of Marion County a chance to elect a new representative in the November election. Please give me the opportunity to serve. Thank you.
I think I'm last.
Okay. Yes,
And then Virginia's next.
and then Virginia will go last. Yep.
In the late 1700s, Fisher Ames, who was an influential member of the first U.S. House of Representatives, wrote, "Politics is the science of good sense applied to public affairs. And as these are forever changing, what is wisdom today may be folly or ruin tomorrow." I believe that this is a true statement. It leads directly to the concept that for government, any government, to rise to the challenges which face it, there must be a balance of opinions based on current facts, coupled with knowledge and good judgment, and in some cases, compassion and understanding for those less fortunate. I believe I can achieve this, and I will work hard to do so. Democracy and good politics does not require that everyone agrees, but it does require involvement and participation. That's pretty axiomatic. I became involved not because I had any long-term plans to run for the legislature. It never even entered my mind, but because there was a need in the community which I could fill. And now we have a need in the community which I can fill. And I also believe firmly in service to the community. in cooperation and collaboration, and reaching out to understand everyone's point of view and trying to move forward. My past experience demonstrates that I am capable of this. I have experience in many areas and have worn many hats to meet whatever opportunities happen to arise. There are many obvious problems in our state, some large, the environment, homelessness, transportation, the pandemic, and some very small, maybe too small to mention, but few have obvious solutions. My experience has shown me that no workable solution to a big problem can be found by taking a narrow or limited view of the situation. Whether it's economics or homelessness or mental illness, we owe it to ourselves to listen. And I have been known to be a very good listener, not a particularly good speaker, but a really good listener. I do not have any other jobs or conflicts. I am not running for anything else, and I don't expect to be. This is another opportunity for me to lend my abilities to solving problems, big and small, for the benefit of House District 21 and larger statewide issues. I can and will devote my full energy and attention to just being the best state representative I can if I am appointed. Thank you for your attention and consideration.
See ya, thank you. Appreciate it. Okay, so that brings us to the point where.
Virginia.
Oh,
He
gee.
literally tried to.
Oh,
mess
my
it up.
gosh.
He did, but we got you.
Commissioner Bethel, we're gonna have to take the
3
gavel
weeks,
from that
3
guy.
weeks.
Jeez Louise.
All right, Virginia, we haven't started this timer yet. All right, go
Oh,
ahead.
no worries, no worries. I'll be short. I wanted to say just what an honor it is to be here today with you all, and hearing from these other 3 candidates. I know that whatever decision is made today will be the right one, as we are all dedicated to serving our community. I, for one, feel lucky because even if I am not chosen to serve in this capacity, I still get to serve on the Salem's City Council and hopefully interact with whomever is chosen, and of course, our Marion County Commissioners, to address the many issues facing our city today. Thank you so much for the opportunity and again for my accommodations.
Okay, yeah, you're right, you were short. Thank you very much, appreciate it. All 4 of you, thank you for being here today. We are going to take a quick break. So if anybody needs to use the restroom, right through those doors on the left, out the doors to your right and then to your left. So we'll take a quick break, so I will recess and let's come back at 25 till, so about 7-minute breaks. Does that sound right by that clock? Yeah, all right. Okay, we'll come back from our recess for the special meeting. It is our time to deliberate and eventually cast a vote. I will first, I'm going to say this first. I'm going to just say that I want to thank you all. When we were just out there talking a little bit, I know I've been on your side of the diocese 2 times myself. And it's always a special thing, and there's always a little bit of anxiety, but you all did really, really well. And listening to your openings, closings, and answers to your questions, the amount of public service, and Virginia, I'm not going to forget about you, the amount of public service that you all represent here for our community is fantastic. And I'm going to defer to my colleagues to allow whoever wants to go first. You want to point at each other, who wants to go first and go next? And
Well, I've never done this before, so I think it's completely unfair to point at me.
I'll do it. I'll go next.
Go right ahead.
I don't even know what this means.
Yeah, so I'll give you some of my thoughts. I guess I'll just start off. Keisha, I couldn't agree more with your comment that jails shouldn't be mental health facilities. I thought that was
Can we just give you a round of applause?
super
for
important.
that?
Absolutely. That's a statewide
Gavel
problem.
down.
We deal with it. We have folks who are committed to the state hospital, and the state hospital refuses to take them, and then they're sitting in our jail, which makes them sicker. It's really a big problem. So I just want to thank you for bringing that issue up. I thought that was really important. Virginia, I just want to tell you that how much I identify with you. You mentioned you have a couple of kids at home, and you're a Salem City councilor. I have a couple of kids at home, and I'm a county commissioner. And I absolutely know about that. So I was thinking about you as, especially as Commissioner Cameron maybe forgot about you once or twice. I might have had that experience as well.
do I forget about him?
And so I just want to thank you for your service. And you all may have kids at home as well. I don't know. But I think sometimes folks don't understand how hard it is to balance both in public office, because we have a responsibility to our constituents. And I know for me, and I'm sure everybody in this room, I really have a heart for my constituents, and I take that responsibility seriously. I can tell from your answers, Virginia, that you do as well. And you also have constituents at home that you have obligations to. And I've felt that tension before, and I know kind of that sacrifice and what that means. So I want to thank you for that and for participating in this process. Chris, I really appreciate our work together. We work on the Homeless Alliance together. You mentioned the breakfast where we have the city and the county talking together. And I've always found you to be a very reasonable person that I can talk to about a problem. And even if we may come from different perspectives or disagree, that never gets in the way of us coming and finding a solution to that problem. And I really appreciate that. And I feel like we've made some progress. Probably not as much as either of us would like when it comes to homelessness or some of the issues facing our community. But it's been real progress nonetheless. And I know you've done a lot of work, especially helping us stand up that Homeless Alliance and navigating like that issue under the Market Street Bridge and some of these things where you really were an advocate for our community. So I just want you to know how much I appreciate that. And Nancy, I want to tell you how much I want to thank you for your practice. I think midwifery is really important, and a lot of places don't have that. My wife's from the Midwest, and she was pleasantly surprised that there was such a robust midwifery practice here, and that it was integrated with the hospitals, and that there wasn't, it worked. And I'm a big believer that a lot of good that happens in the world isn't some faceless institution. It's actually a person who spends their life trying to make their little corner of the world a better place. And I know that we have you to thank for a lot of what's good about midwifery here in the Mid-Valley. I know that you've spent your life doing that, so I want to thank you for that. This is a hard decision, And as I'm thinking about it, one of the things that I want to share with you is how much I hate these appointment processes. Kevin said he's been through it twice. I've never been through one. I ran for election in a primary, I ran in the general, and because the nature of our republic is we're a representative democracy, or a democratic republic, depending on how you want to say it, representing your constituents and allowing the people to send their representatives to office to make laws for them, I find to be really important. And so I struggle with this process because this is sort of like a step removed from that. I really feel like the people should be deciding who gets this seat, not me. So I want you to know that, but I have to do it nonetheless. And so when I've thought about this and thought about who I'm going to vote for, I think for me, it really comes down to who understands the work that we're doing and the constituents that we serve the best, and who understands the needs of the community. And so I'm going to cast my vote for Chris today because I feel like he has an understanding, more specific understanding of some of the challenges that we're facing, and he'll be a good partner for us over the next several months as we're trying to rebuild the canyon and as we're trying to work on this homeless crisis and that sort of thing. So that's going to be my vote, and I just want you all to know that I appreciate very much your participation in this process.
Thank you. Well, I love that I get to go around and talk about all of you. One of the things that I heard from each one of you, which really resonates with me, is three things: relationships, grassroots, and involved. And I think involvement and grassroots really are the key primary things that anybody in an elected space should fully engage in. None of the elected positions anywhere, probably in the world, but specifically the country, and more so I think in Oregon from my perspective, are easy today. It's a very volatile environment. It's an unfortunate space to be in when you're passionate and you care about the place that you live. And I heard genuinely from each of you that you really do care. And although I don't know all of you as well as, actually really the only one I know well is Nancy, and probably more so than anybody would want to know, I really admire everything that you all do. Being a legislator in Oregon is difficult. As you all stated and are aware of, the metro area really drives the narrative and decision-making of Oregon. Marion County is the 5th largest county in the state. It has extreme diverse population. We are the leading agriculture industry. We have a significant amount of timber, water, all the resources that come within a very unique space. And I have struggled as a citizen in this county, but in this state, to feel adequately represented by the individuals in the legislature because they're overworked, they've been there too long and out of touch. They don't know how to get involved in the new spaces. And I don't think that really exists for each of you, those challenges. Although they're each unique, and you have to work really hard to be all the places, and I know it's not possible. But having relationships affords you the opportunity of communication and being present and aware through those relationships. Now that I'm a county commissioner, I've been here a year, and I can't tell you how important the relationship it is to have with your legislators, regardless of whether you agree or disagree. There's no way they can be doing what we're doing on a daily basis and vice versa, and that goes for city councils as well. I'm similar to Commissioner Willison, feeling a bit out of place in this because I really do believe in the process, and I really think that it's a difficult decision. Could we just send you all together? Boy, we'd really get a lot done for HD 21 if you could be there as a team. That being said, I'm going to move forward today with supporting Nancy. I really agree with her perspectives on healthcare and education being two of the biggest fundamentals that are dealt with in legislature. And I've seen the things that she's done here in this community, and I admire them. And with that vote, I'm hopeful that if you move forward, you'll be able to continue to do that, but also broaden your perspectives on other areas that were mentioned today, specifically law enforcement, but the services around it are critical. So thank you.
Thank you.
Whoa, you put me in the hot seat here.
Well,
All right.
turnabout's fair play. This happened to me a week ago.
So I will echo all the things that both of my colleagues have said about all of you. I know that this is a really important, as somebody who has served in the legislature, and one of the things that I heard when I went through the appointment process by the former county commissioners that Commissioner Carlson and Commissioner Milne and Commissioner Brentano was that they thought they had pretty good relationships with their local cities, but they needed better relationships with the state. And it's still that today. I mean, I will say this because after we're done here, I think we do have better relationships with the state. But one of the things that I think is really important is that we have that communication and that we are able to listen to each other. And because I think Commissioner Bethel said this, we are really close. It's like city councilors, you're close to your constituents. I mean, you see them all the time. You see them in the grocery stores, et cetera. And we do that too as county commissioners. So I think what I'm gonna because I have a relationship with Chris already, we have a relationship. I'm gonna cast my vote for Chris. I will say this, I want to say this because this day is, it's always hard. But what makes it even harder for me is that I've known and served and respected Representative Brian Clem for many years. And most recently, he helped us in a tremendous way with the fire recovery and the efforts that went through the legislature in the Santiam Canyon. And his shoes will not be easy to fill. And Chris, I know that that's not something you will try to even do in the next year that you'll be serving there. But I want to congratulate you on your appointment to House District 21. And I do, and I know our colleagues look forward to working with all of you, city councilors, as well as our state representative who's going to be there for the next year or so. This day is about, I want to say you, and thank you for being here today. But from the bottom of my heart, I really appreciated the service that we have had, the friendship I had with Representative Brian Clem. And I'm not sure what he's going to do in the future, but he has been a great representative for this district, and whoever serves in his place in the next year will have an opportunity to try to fill that void. But in the next election, Chris, obviously you've stated that you can't run. You could run for 17.
No.
Yeah, be my
No, thank you.
representative from Detroit.
No, thank you.
So we're really looking forward to those relationships. And this is a temporary position, I understand that, and it is really important. And you all realized how important it is. You all said that about the relationships that we have, so I
Commissioner,
want to
can I
thank
just
you.
add
Yes,
one
go
more
right
thing?
ahead.
I just want to ask each of you to continue to obviously do what you're doing, but on a personal level, listening to all the things that you're all involved in. I mean, I've worked with Virginia, as she said, on the school board, and then also with Chris on some county things. But you're all doing so many things that really do impact the county. And my ask is that you'd invite me into that situation and to build that relationship stronger. A lot of the things that you said, Cassia, I don't have a connection to, and would love the opportunity to learn and engage through not just your eyes, but through the work of that community. Thank you for being here, truly. I know it's a hard, difficult process to be on that side of the table. But to be honest, it's not that easy to be on this side of the table either. So thank you.
Commissioner Bethel, would you like an opportunity to change your vote and vote for Chris or do you want?
I appreciate that. No,
Okay.
I'm comfortable, thank you.
Okay. Good, so,
Should I make a motion, Mr. Chair?
sure.
Mr. Chair, I make a motion that we appoint Chris Hoy to the House District 21 vacant seat.
I'll second the motion. Any further discussion? Hearing none? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye? Opposed?
Aye. Nay?
Okay. So noted for your vote. We appreciate that. Appreciate all of you. And Virginia, thank you for allowing me to skip you a couple of times just because you were on Zoom. All right? We will
Don't worry.
adjourn. Congratulations to all of you. And Chris, congratulations.